Welcome back to the Loud Sound Epicenter podcast. Back with some recent news. Of course, last time me and Thomas spoke, we were sort of speaking in broader terms, but this week we got a new update. And thanks to Thomas, even though he's not on Twitter, he is still dropping takes. And thanks to Garak, he is still here helping us out with some of the prepping of the show here. So thank you, Thomas, for returning. Always appreciate you here. And
Yeah, man.
Barack Obama, thank you for returning to the show. It's been a while.
It's always fun.
So we'll dive right into it. Of course, as you guys know, a number of people have already dropped their take. But Thomas, since you have a sort of a background in this thing, I'd really like to ask you what your reaction was to the Trump FBI raid.
I mean, it didn't surprise me. I maintain, I the deep state's going to do everything in its power to prevent Trump from ever taking the oath of office again. Okay, I was somewhat surprised by the timing, but upon reflection, it kind of makes sense. Because they can't wait. They can't wait until the campaign gets into full swing in order to try and rook him, because that would be even more unseemly than this whole thing already is. And once a candidate develops a certain amount of momentum, um, it I mean, even I realize that the stock and trade of the regime is dirty pool, and they certainly have no interest in fair play or even the appearance of propriety. But um, once once campaign season kind of officially kicked off, in 2023, they couldn't pull the trigger then. Okay, I mean, it would be like politically, I don't think it would be viable. At the same time, this is a bit on the nose. I mean, I I I didn't anticipate it being this. I didn't anticipate their strategy taking the form that's just kind of like heavy-handed, malicious sort of prosecution, or an effort to confabulate together a case, um, to proceed with, on however flimsy grounds. I mean, Trump's whatever you can say about Trump, and I'm certainly not uncritical of the guy. From as people know who follow my content, even casually. But Trump's a great survivor, and I made the point before that the fact that Trump survived the commission trial in 1985 of you know major organized crime figures in New York City and New Jersey. Trump himself, obviously, he was never directly insinuated into that kind of racketeering, but I mean, he was neck deep in the construction um business and bidding on these contracts in New York. And Trump actually, it's not incorrect to say that Trump was something of a slumlord for a time. Okay, I mean, that's just accurate. I'm not saying that to put like throw shade on him, but Trump was most active in that side of his business empire when when they can when the when organized crime had a monopoly on concrete, within the city limits, when they really, when almost all the building trades unions were very much controlled by the mafia. I mean, Trump was doing business with these people just because he would have had to. Okay, even if he wasn't, even if Trump himself wasn't dirty, but there was not a single, on all these hours and hours of wiretap, like Trump was not like on a single tape, and that's not an accident. Sammy Gravano, who isn't a particularly good person, but I think he's a credible witness. He made the point on one of his podcasts that in the '80s, Trump had a reputation where if he showed up anywhere, and any like organized crime figures were present, like Trump would like literally like he would just like vacate the area wherever he was at. Like he Trump's always been like hyper vigilant in that regard. So I'd be surprised, frankly, everything else aside, I'd be surprised if Trump was gonna was gonna fuck up on, by like not paying his taxes or by, running afoul of the Federal Election Commission by not properly accounting for, his campaign funds. Like that would seem very out of character. Okay. But I mean, it's obvious what's going on here, but I don't think, I think the government's gonna have a real problem if they formally indict Trump, on trumped up charges. But I think they have every intention of doing that. And like I said, on some of my platforms, Trump's really got to, he's really got to corral a proper defense team around himself, including Mr. Dershowitz, who I have nothing nice to say about, but he is the preeminent constitutional lawyer in litigation terms. I mean, I'm not saying he's some kind of constitutional scholar. There's guys who are just as knowledgeable as he, who are on the academic side of things, probably more so, like John Yoo. But if you're gonna the government going after a man to try and literally, and a former president that, to try and prevent him from taking office, and utilizing the federal police apparatus towards that end. I mean, that's really not particularly precedented, and about the only guy who I think is qualified to litigate a case like that is Dershowitz. And plus, like, Dershowitz is madly connected. He's got a lot of clout. He's tribe, and that obviously doesn't hurt. But Trump's gonna really sabotage himself if he falls back on these kinds of in-house these guys are kind of like in-house people that he favors, including clowns like Giuliani. And I mean, that's
Linwood.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why he got. That's one of the reasons he got broadsided. Really, and he really got treated rather easily by his enemies, frankly. During his entire administration, and part of the reason for that is because he didn't have a real legal team around him. So I mean, hopefully he's wised up in that regard. The degree to which the FBI has become just like a naked political attack dog is interesting. I mean, I guess that's unsurprising. I mean, I made the point. The FBI, like the rest of the security apparatus, the FBI was always kind of searching for a mandate. Hoover always intended for it to be a political police force, quite literally like an American KGB or Gestapo. I'm not using hyperbole. I mean, that was like the intent of it. And initially the FBI wasn't even permitted to carry weapons. Their agents, I mean, and they're kind of bread and butter eventually. Once it became kind of institutionally insinuated into the deep state, and became kind of the preeminent like law enforcement organ of the federal regime as we know it. They kind of carved out a mandate of counterintelligence, and going after Soviet assets in the United States, and then of course like traditional organized crime after the Valachi testimony, that kind of became their bread and butter. But like neither of those things exists anymore. There's not like traditional like mafia racketeering, despite what people see on TV, like isn't a thing. I mean, and obviously like the counterintelligence game is dead. There's not. I mean, yeah, there's corporate espionage, like like the Chinese, where he's playing fast and loose, intellectual property. I mean, yeah, there's like some traditional kind of like spying, but not. It's nothing like the Cold War, and it doesn't have the same purpose, and just the strategic landscape, like it's never going to be like that again. So it's part of this is, I mean, yeah, I mean the FBI they're a bunch of pro-regime shitbags and the kind of people who bed down with the Clintons, figuratively speaking. But they also they part even those who aren't particularly politically inclined or ideologically committed, they the FBI is literally like the rest of the Cold War apparatus has nothing much to do. So it's like, well, this is something for him to do. I mean, that's kind of the short version.
Given the background, as you said, with Trump's behavior, obviously one of the things that I think has been pretty consistent on your part, talking about his, getting excluded from public life, the social media presence was probably the biggest hit he took in recent memory before this raid. And his big reaction to that was something that you've criticized mildly in the past, the Truth Social platform, sort of the absence of mobility on the platform. So, this is yet another example of political overreach, bridging into his territory. And, we've heard rhetoric from him before where he said this is the last straw. Now it's time to go Sam Francis mode. So what do you, like you said, you've said in the past, a lot of the GOP's rhetoric is mostly fighting words, but do you think this is the straw that broke the camel's back to get him to really edge into his boomer rage?
I mean, I think some of this doesn't have to do with Trump, the man. I mean, if the regime is going to continue to just like literally, like literally and unconstitutionally, just ban Trump from public office. I mean, they're going to be looking at a real kind of revolt. I don't mean like an armed revolt or Civil War II in the streets or something, but they're going to develop a real legitimacy problem. Like that's already starting to happen. I realized, Time Magazine, which has always been has always been a propaganda rag for the system. I mean, going back to the New Dealer era, like even they've been dropping copy about, like the bizarre things about the 2020 election and how it was like how the outcome was literally engineered and how the protocols for voting like were totally without precedent. I mean, people are actually getting wise to this, and and part of this is because they're realizing like just how bizarre the Biden administration is. I mean, and how once there's always a bit of fatigue for any presidential regime. I mean, because Americans, unlike Europeans, with rare exceptions, Americans then generally like don't like their presidents particularly. Like there's kind of like a brief love affair with a certain candidate. I mean, under normal conditions, and then around the time of midterm elections, or usually or sometimes about a year into the second term, if we're talking about a two-term executive, the public as well as the media apparatus kind of turns on whatever remains in the Oval Office. But so I mean, there's not. I knew at some point that like even with the kind of anti-Trump hysteria of the system, I knew that Biden's administration was going to weather some criticism because it is so inept at managing public opinion and because it truly does not have like any mandate at all. Okay, um, it but the so I mean, if they're going to continue, they kind of had to they had to cover somewhat of COVID, contrives it may have been in 2020 and other things, like they're if Trump's just going to be like nakedly excluded from office because the deep state hates him, I mean that's going to cause that's going to cause a real legitimacy crisis. So Trump may himself may not have to do anything. I mean, the voters are just going to the voters themselves are just going to withdraw their consent, and people are kind of wising up, man, because like I made the point, about this when we were talking about California on a live stream, someone's back. Tommy Metzger was always making the point that particularly with respect to California, how at some point election results just became like disregarded and the people insinuated into office. This was very much like a manufactured outcome. And I mean, Metzger's point was that California went from being, literally the conservative heartland to one day, media just declared that, it was just declared that it was a safe blue state, and that's the way it was, and everybody just like kind of accepted that, which doesn't really make any sense. And I mean, even if I did accept that, like, why is Mitch McConnell a senator for life? Like, why is Nancy Pelosi just like insinuated into office for life? Like, you're telling me that like there's no man that like the voting public would prefer than these fucking people? Like, that doesn't. At some point, the narrative of this breaks down. Okay, and it becomes almost late Soviet-esque. So I think I think the regime has to tread a little bit lightly. You know, I mean, like if a regime that wasn't senile and that was smart, I mean, would basically ignore Trump and you know, and kind of starve him of momentum in that way. But the regime's like literally senile. You know, like they don't know what the hell they're doing, and it's populated by it's populated by crazy people. I mean, look at what they're doing in Ukraine. I mean, aside from the fact that you know that whole operation is devoid of strategic logic, it's literally like insane. You know what I mean? So it's Trump may not have to do much to get his way because the and again, I'm not saying that there's going to be some kind of like armed uprising, but if people I think the system's lost a lot of legitimacy anyway based on 2020. But if literally nobody like bothers to show up to vote anymore or participate in the kind of civic ritual, yet and it just becomes and increasingly like the protocols that used to be employed to kind of acquire a mandate just like fall by the wayside. And it is already happening. I mean, like, I increasingly like people aren't going to look at the government as particularly legitimate. And they're kind of doing Trump's work for them, for him. So that's my kind of instinctive response.
To speak on that, earlier today, AA cited your California example of how tying it in with how if the FBI is blatantly, raiding the former president, it kind of goes to show you how California has been run by Nancy Pelosi, who has, a number of things that have been publicly, released of some of the dirty politics there, and how it's tying into Newsom, and how all these, California is like the power structure is made up of like 8 families around there. And so,
Yeah.
but then again, California has been kind of in a stagnant position, and there hasn't really been a lot of mobility from the alleged right-wing population. And so a lot of that stuff kind of gets called into question. But that was interesting that AA cited that today
Yeah.
of all days. But
No, he's an interesting. I've got a lot of. I mean, I like AA. He's a friend, and he drops interesting content consistently on the American situation. He's got a better understanding of it than most Europeans. And yeah, no, that's great. I'll have to run that down.
now, one of the
He's good.
things, and thanks to Garak here for being the Christian Slater of the show, let me pull up you right here. Happy Harry Garak, as they call him. Real nickname, by the way. So he was getting your take out there. And one thing that really stood out to me is you were really emphasizing the Nixon angle and how it's a bit of a misnomer. Could you elaborate why maybe the analogy is not totally accurate, or if it is, what are some of the shortcomings with that?
I mean, I think I think it's no, I mean, I think it's basically there's strong parallels. I mean, I think I mean Trump obviously is nothing the man that Nixon was, and the reasons for Trump being targeted in the way he has been are a bit different. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's what what I've indicated before. The what Nixon called the silent majority in reference to his constituency, which was the Wallace coalition, as we've talked about, that that's the same constituency decades on that supports Trump, and that's those are people who the regime is not going to allow to have a voice in policy. But the I think there was certain Cold War intrigues relating to why Nixon was rooked the way that he was too. But no, I think it's basically this is precedented, and that's this is how the regime this is how the regime removes men from office, or how it precludes candidates from seeking office who have a popular mandate from a a coalition and a demographic constellation that they consider to be unacceptable. Okay, that's that's uh that's very that's very obvious, or it should be. Um, again, I think the only I mean there's profound differences between 1972 and today. I mean, aside from just times change, like it's not. I mean, in some ways, it's a totally different world. Just in terms of in terms of the the global situation. And I'm reluctant to like I'm always pointing out, people who say history repeats itself are idiots because it doesn't. But there are there are there are parallels and there are analogies that are significant, and precedent's always significant. And we like, again, I mean, the way the federal regime behaves is pretty constant. That's the point I'm always making too, about the people, about the cranks who like insist that JFK was assassinated by some constellation of the CIA and all this other foolishness. Like, we know how the government, we know how the deep state removes executives. They do it like they did to Nixon. They do what they did to Trump. They don't hire crazy people, not pay them, and then like deploy them to like shoot the president in the face. Like at Dealey Plaza. I mean, they do. This is very clear. So the but what it does is, I mean, the key takeaway here is, I mean, you raise Sam Francis. Sam Francis, I never saw totally eye to eye with him on policy stuff, but he was a guy I had a lot of respect for, and he was very insightful, particularly on on America's political culture, and how that translated to electoral outcomes and things. Like, he was always he was he was he was always making the point that when you know that what's ultimately going to deprive the regime of legitimacy is when it no longer provides pressure valves at the ballot box for people to kind of vent their dissatisfaction. you know and you're seeing that happen right now. And I and it should also this should also he also made the point too that there wasn't I mean, he made the point for different reasons than I do. um I mean, I don't, not because his view was fundamentally incompatible with mine. He just emphasized different things. But he was always making the point that after Taft, after the Second World War, there wasn't a real right wing in America anymore. And I go as far as to point out that it's basically illegal um for to advocate such policies in a de facto kind of way. But I mean, like, you're seeing that right now. Like, what are these I mean, Trump's biggest enemies are like in the Republican Party, which supposedly is like the right wing opposition, like in America. Like, what are they like it's totally crazy. Like, the and again too, I mean, like who is supposedly voting for these people? Like, who is supposedly keeping like Senator for Life Mitch McConnell in office? Like, who the hell's like voting for Lindsey Graham? Like, I refuse to believe that there's some constant majority who's got like some hard as fuck like love for Mitch McConnell. I just don't believe that. Okay, I mean, like, stranger things have happened, but it's like I guess what I'm getting at, and I've been under the weather today, so forgive me if I'm not conveying this concisely. But the significance of Trump is that he's exposing the lie that is the regime's narrative. Okay, it's narrative of legitimacy, and he's doing that just kind of by existing, and allowing them to kind of fall over themselves and literally become hysterical, and do everything from uh abolish their own due process to sicking the FBI on him on grounds that to literally do anything to prevent him from taking office. And that's incredibly stupid. um I mean, just in like tactical political terms, and in like Machiavellian terms, like it's retarded. Like, I mean, that's not how you neutralize a candidate with a burgeoning kind of populist um constituency. I mean, that's kind of the key takeaway, man, or key takeaways from this whole thing. And the timing is kind of splendid in order to help Trump. I mean, it's like this, all he's been saying is that he's being targeted. The like regime media is claiming that, like, oh, that's ridiculous, like these paranoid middle American white people who believe this, and then, like, lo and behold, like the FBI like raids his shit. It's like you can't make this stuff up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what develops. But like I said, for his sake, they do intend, however inept they are, they do intend, I believe, to indict him on some trumped up charge. He's really got to retain a real legal team. And it's, I mean, for his sake, hopefully he does that.
Yeah, and Grok has been speaking about that scenario hypothetically, but I wanted to ask Grok, when we, as you two probably remember, when we look at the leadership behind Stop the Steal, it was a ragtag group of people. It wasn't a legal team. It wasn't definitely wasn't Chicago's Untouchables or anything approaching that. It was e-celebrities, and you would expect momentum behind Trump during the most critical moment to be, people with 5D chess, people on his staff that are there for him. And from what it looked like in retrospect, it was dysfunction and not even like a loyal base staff wise. And so in order to emulate that Nixon greatest comeback, Grok, how do you see, like, I mean, people have been using the buzzword like Banana Republic, and it's kind of fired up the base, as CNN has pointed out. But do you see that as translating into the midterms and up to 2024? Do you see that GOP staying consistently outraged as they are this week?
As for the anger lasting, maybe through the primary season, it would be possible for someone with Trump's sort of salesman gift to perhaps milk the incident and any consequences going into the midterms, even earlier in the day for you two. I believe Trump's man in Wisconsin won over Pence's pick. There was, large turnout in that election in favor of Trump. So there is something of an electoral reaction happening on the ground. On the legal side, I think you're right that compared to impeachment one, the Stop the Steal lawyers weren't as constitutionally proficient as someone like Dershowitz, despite his, conceptual biases. And it'll be interesting to see how some of the players who are getting into MAGA Inc., maybe like Peter Thiel or people of that persuasion, how they refine his approach and turn the sort of grassroots energy that you see in all of these primaries into an organized national effort, which is another point AA has been hammering home.
Yeah, and like you said, this is to go back to what Thomas said. This is the deciding moment. The right is reaching its impasse, and I can't imagine any other scenario that we could wait for where it would be more appropriate. I mean, we could continue like Trump, do your own thing, isolate yourself, and hope that the boomers come, or sort of this direction that Peter Thiel has been writing about for years in 0 to 1. It's just having this right wing, base that is sort of thinking outside the 20th century, as Thomas, you often emphasize. But again, there has to be that interest towards that direction, and I just don't know if Trump has the wherewithal or he even knows where to explore that kind of a stuff. Is he even like reaching out to the Teal network or similar avenues that could help him, from a selfish perspective? I just I don't know if he, like you guys have said, Trump's not an ideologue, so a lot of this stuff is probably foreign to him, and but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he has it in him.
Definitely felt like he was asleep at the wheel for Stop the Steal, and he's not like a legal mind, so he just sort of accepted whatever Giuliani told him. A couple of bourbons in.
Yeah.
But another interesting development that you see in the rhetoric of, as you were saying, the sort of normie Republicans, is that you're seeing a lot of maybe MAGA boomers or just sort of regular right-wing people in the States really take a harsh turn against the security state and the FBI. And this is not something you would have seen maybe 10 years ago. And there's an interesting change in the consciousness. I think I shared Paul Gosar's tweet where he's calling for the abolition of the FBI almost.
Oh, yeah.
And it's become more of a popular line on the dissident side. Even people like, Kevin McCarthy or some of the more normie Republicans, they see that the system can target them should they be taken to be radical in the wake of Trump. And I think there might be some political self-interest on their side, which would get them to interrogate the security state Not quite maybe on a church committee level, but out of
Right.
self-interest, it could bind the party together. That's the way I see it.
Yes, exactly. And I just remembered, the closest thing we have, that's comparable to like a Teal network or some kind of greatest comeback is, of course, the Brad Parscale America First Populist, or what is it, the Policy Institute, which has been loaded up with some former Trump admin. And obviously, Grok, but it's that's not exactly has a lot of teeth. So it's just very funny that any attempt at an alternative just seems to go down the same backwater swamp that Trump has been trying to revolt against. So I don't know. I like Thomas said, I think it's up in the air, and I'm just sort of ambivalent because I think about the kind of latter half of the last presidency for Trump, rushing the immigration reform, and we were bragging about him bringing immigration down by 90%. That we waited a long time for those numbers, and we didn't get them until he was feeling the heat from the presidency ending. And then the social media just totally neglected it. We've heard that it was on his desk for years.
Monitoring
And
the situation.
right, yeah, the monitor, exactly. It became a meme. And so, that's where I do sympathize with the people who are basically jumping ship. But I mean, I'm not totally there yet. And when I see the stuff that's going on with the DeSantis network, that's honestly more reassuring to see Trump kind of fight against that tide, because I kind of see that as the inevitable divide within the right is who's going to choose who over who when the timing matters. And so if that indictment comes down, I think that's going to really be even more explicit than this raid if people haven't woken up by now.
Well, the thing to
But
keep in mind too is that I mean you got to look at Trump as like what he represents. He's a catalyst that that opens doors to where we're going. Like Trump the man himself is not particularly significant. And it doesn't matter that he's not particularly good at playing the political game. He's not particularly good at coalition building and he's not particularly good at developing organization around himself to protect himself from these kinds of attacks. At the end of the day, I mean, like I said, he's exposed. He's pointed out that the emperor has no clothes. Okay, so I mean, he's kind of done his job, as it were, like in historical terms. I think that's the way to look at him.
Yeah, an
Like
American gadfly.
after 2020, like takes the regime seriously in terms of what it claims are, our electoral returns, and it obviously just like abolishes its own. Like I said, it'll just abolish its own, purported sacrosanct due process in order to engineer an electoral outcome. Or just like do away with the election altogether, like it did. I mean, it's like so that's, he's I think Trump in historical terms has kind of like done his job, as it were. It doesn't even if even if his campaign totally fizzles for 20. I don't think it will, frankly, because I think his base is pretty fired up. But even if or even if he is even if he's indicted on felony charges in some and some trumped up capacity, like I said, it's that this has changed things, and instead of neutralizing instead of doing everything it has to do to kind of neutralize that discontent, like what's the government doing? That it's a bunch of senile old women like shrieking that people protesting on January 6th is like an armed insurgency. Like they're literally like doing everything they can to kind of play into the hands of the resistance. So I mean that's it's in that Trump's a net positive, even if the man himself is something of a jagoff, and even if his even if he's not going anywhere in terms of being able to having the wherewithal or the intelligence or the organization to really monkey wrench the regime. I think he's kind of served his purpose regardless. So look at it like that. There's
Nightmare Vision.
optimism in that regard.
Nightmare Vision had a good tweet to that effect on Trump's sort of historical role as a rhetorician and a gadfly way back in 2018, or I believe he said that his rhetoric and actions are the battering ram through which formerly unspeakable policies and ideas can enter into the mainstream American rights consciousness, and through tribalism, people sort of defend Trump when he goes outside of the Republican orthodoxy, which is very important to anyone who wants to challenge it, whether you're a sort of geeky
No,
populist or a
that's really insightful. Yeah.
nationalist.
I'm
I think-
also. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just said, in relation to the security state in particular, this would be very useful. Nixon was also kind of rooked by the FBI, as you mentioned, sort of that Mark Felt business, but he never really, I don't think he had the sort of rhetorical foundation to have a serious attack on those forces in the way that Trump has now, or the organization with respect to alternative media and, somewhat friendly Congress. There are a lot of advantages Trump has structurally due to the growth of the Republican Party that Nixon didn't have back in the day.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
I'm sort of fascinated by there was a sort of a smaller debate happening where people were asking, is Trump fully responsible for the Overton window shifting in all cases, or is sort of the personality surrounding the dissident right also making their effort and their voices heard? Because obviously we've come such a long ways. I mean, just on something like immigration alone, from amnesty to talking about moratorium, like what Grok mentioned, Gosar talks about. But I see, like you said, Trump's historical role as just kind of the statesman who kind of does his thing without totally being in tune with the base at all times. But I also see a lot of people in the dissident right pushing rhetoric that eventually lands its way into, some of Trump's staff, or even some of the personalities that are, there's been some speculation as to how valid, who is the source of all of that shifting in the Overton window. But I think as things keep escalating, a lot of the hard work is being done for us. And even if Trump himself is not doing it, I have a lot of faith in those actors, so to speak, that are kind of edging things in that way. But I know some people are not very optimistic about that. Of course, this is the wait and see attitude that a lot of people still haven't warmed up to. But I do see things as going in a positive trajectory right now, even in the wake of this raid. I kind of see this as kind of the natural course of things happening, and not a derailing, not a going off track here. I just see this as the progression that's going to lead to more distant awakening. So I am very optimistic, and for Trump, for the record, I don't think his time is up. I think we're going to still have a lot of use, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I didn't mean to suggest that Trump had exhausted his function or his potential. I just my only point was, even if he had, I think he's largely accomplished what in structural terms he needed to do. And that, I mean, to your guys' point, and in terms of creating a real legitimacy crisis for the regime, and that was essential, and that I think that was in the wings anyway, because there's been a precipitous decline in its competence and in its ability to manage public opinion and everything else, since 1993. But there's always a catalyst required for these kinds of paradigm shifts. I don't mean to cut this short, man, but I'm gonna raise up because I'm a bit under the weather tonight.
No problem.
I'm glad I'm glad we got to take up this issue, and we should go live later in the week, man. And I'm sure there'll be more kind of news on, as it becomes clear, kind of like what the respective camps, like what their kind of narrative is about this sort of latest antagonism of Mr. Trump. We'll probably have more of a complete kind of picture of what the developing narratives are, respectively. So we should go live again, like sometime this week. If you guys are down for that, but
definitely.
Regardless, yeah, I appreciate
That'd be fun.
I appreciate you having me on, and again, sorry to cut this short, but
no problem.
It's getting late where I'm at, and but this was great, man. So yeah, we'll connect up later in the week. And
all right. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Likewise.
All right. Well, hey, speaking of people on the right making waves, Grok, you big guy, I wanted to go over some of your stuff here. I don't know how many people are in the know. I know that we got Thomas's Telegram audience here, but of course, without hesitation, I must. Ellen Andrews' favorite Groiper account. Let me show. Favorite Star Trek account.
It is an interesting subject. I think the recent success of a lot of my sort of posts about the excesses of the civil rights revolution, it suggests that there's a vacuum of discussion on the topic, and that there's a lot of an appetite. There's a great appetite for discussion of the 1960s and some of the more taboo racial aspects of that period that aren't being satisfied by anyone. And I think the success of the posts just goes to show that there's a real market there. And though I have a lot of other projects going on at the moment, it's definitely something to go back through to reconsider whether or not some long form might be appreciated.
Yeah, and just to verify, this is revisionist history, so this is in tune with Thomas's content. Of course, people from Telegram are familiar, but may not be familiar. I don't know if they're still on Twitter. I would encourage them to, even if it's looking a little bleak right now. There is plenty of dissident stuff that I think is worthy of sticking around. I'm trying to find your reconstruction, because that's a topic that, like we were talking earlier, this I feel like this is really where the momentum is heading. And of course, as we said, Andrews has thrown her hat in the ring talking about reconstruction, but it's one of those topics that really does explain the civil rights revolution and some other recent, racial agitation. But I am struggling to find the link here. I mean, I'll happily just scroll your timeline. This is what I do anyways. And
That's
okay.
a great honor.
It is. Okay, here we go. We're so back. I'm thinking we're back. So right here, yeah, unreconstructed. But yeah, more long-form content. I know the Thomas people stick around for that. I also find that to be like a millennial interest. Maybe it's kind of par for the course for a certain generation. I know that a lot of
we'll do the TikTok.
yeah,
next.
that's where we'll scoop up the Zoomer demographic. But yeah, great picture here. Love to see it. But
that guy's pretty spicy in the German scene.
But yeah, I would highly encourage. I mean, my goodness, this kind of reminds me of your mentor, Carlsbad. He was also does similar content, and you're ripping the stuff straight out of the books. I see AA do very similar stuff, and so I just like to give a proper plug here because I think it's worthy of
with Bookhat gone. There's a big
Oh, he's gone.
Like I said, a big back. Was he? Well, I think his main. He might be back on an alt, but I didn't.
He was tweeting NWA lyrics just the other day. Hold on a second.
Oh, maybe you're talking about the alt. Oh, I meant his actual.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
the classic account, the David Lee Roth era Bookhat.
Yeah, that's true. We're in we're in the 90s Vegas wrestler mode. But yes, there's all kinds of people still here on alts, admittingly, but still some content here. And I'm blocked by Cernovich, so I couldn't see tweets like this. So I'm very grateful for people like Bill Catt. I may have used a certain slur against Cernovich. I didn't mean anything by it, as far as I remember, but did not take it as a compliment for some reason. I don't know, man, but it is. It's interesting to see where everybody's hedging their bets. People are saying it's time for DeSantis to, be the Hegelian super Aryan agent, and the time for Trumpism is over.
Manlet.
That's true. Yeah, the no charisma Florida alligator is gonna
the Dysandroid.
Dysandroid. That's true. Dark.
I stole that from someone else.
That's fine. We steal a lot of content here on the show. That's all right.
That's true. Bad artists copy, good artists steal. I think.
There you go. There's the one. But I don't know, man. Ronnie, I don't. I'm very interested.
Bomber.
Who knows? But I'm curious. I feel like, it's so fascinating to me, and it's a little autistic, I admit, but a lot of people, including me, were not here till as long as 2016. I wasn't going back that far, but I've constantly been playing catch up. And so when I look at some of the arcs, some of the lore in the dissident right, I sort of know when to check my privilege, so to speak, sit my white ass down, as a lot of us are doing. And it's a very good advice, because a lot of people are very knee-jerk reactiony when it comes. Knee-jerk reactionary should be the new the new logo there. But I noticed that a lot of people are just rushing to do the next bandwagon, the next trend. And that's what I see with a lot of, probably like compact magazine writers hopping on DeSantis. I just see this as another populist Inc. movement that is kind of reaching to the forefront. And if you're not there for conservative Inc., populist Inc., if you're not there for all the different eras of this stuff, you're not going to recognize it as another manifestation of the fake stuff. So that's where, I hope that the Zoomers, they are younger than the millennials, who have probably been around for longer for this specific stuff specifically. But I see a lot of Zoomers potentially cutting their own potential by, latching on to some recent movements that have developed in the last, 5 years or less. And so I just see that as a big mistake, because you gotta wait. The wait and see attitude, I think, is very powerful. And so that's why I'm very hesitant to be optimistic for, recent people jumping into the woodwork. But, a bit of a long-winded thing, but that's what I see with this DeSantis stuff. I'm not optimistic about it. I just don't, not on board, even if it, walks the walk, talks the talk. It's just not for me. It's just
Uh,
not a, I don't
I
know.
think I have a more nuanced take on the situation on account of I know a lot of people in Florida who are big fans of his. Even some people who are quite far on the right. The objection I'd make is I don't know why it has to be presented as a dichotomy when he could easily step into the vice presidential role, run domestic policy, as some people have suggested,
Yeah, well,
or stay
I
in
don't know if
Florida and
there's
continue to
interest
lead by
there.
example.
What was your example?
Well, he could just stay in Florida and lead by example for some of the more red-pilled governors who are coming up.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, the dichotomy is a bit forced. That you are right about that. I always kind of forget. I'm in Bloodsport mode. I am in
Yeah,
Zoomer
a lot of people.
antagonism.
Both people are the sort of Trump loyalists and the Cernovich types. They always want to stir the pot. Matt Walsh, sort of on the heavy
Yeah,
the heavy D train.
that's true.
um,
That's true. And
oh,
I'm glad you brought that up, because Daily Wire, I think, is a key thing, a key part of the, the right, so called, that is really trying to push that dichotomy. And so obviously a lot of people here are not fans of Shapiro. They look through Walsh. Dude, I got to tell you, it is a beautiful day to see AA just totally going off the goop for some of the Daily Wire crew. I just feel like a lot of that stuff is so appropriate. And when I have people in my family asking me about, well, this person, Michael Knowles is Catholic and this and that, these people are closer to you, so what's the big deal? Why do you got to fight with everybody? And it's like, because we've seen this a dozen times. We've seen it time and time again. And I don't like the fakers. I don't like the people that talk like me and then are going to work for checks notes Ben Shapiro. I got no stomach for it. So a lot of that
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
I think the appeal of those types, beyond the sort of cynical frame where you see it all as a sort of operation of the power of the Republican establishment, on some level, a lot of the fan base, a lot of the fandom is driven by that desire for social respectability, sort of very very unheavy metal sort of attitude, where where they want to, because you could say that you like DeSantis at a dinner party, but you could lose your job for supporting Trump. And I
Yes, that's true.
and
That's
I think a
true.
lot of his key issues where it's attacking libs of TikTok's targets, or protesting against lockdowns. These are important cultural stands, but especially in other countries which aren't so fortunate. But at the end of the day, saying you oppose lockdowns is less touchy than saying they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime. The issues are a bit safer. You even see something like this just recently. I've been looking at the Dutch example. There's that blonde lady who's been on with Tucker,
Mm,
and people are saying, wow, base Dutch trad wife. But if you look into the history of the situation, I believe she played a role in sort of purging out one of the immigration hardliners in the Netherlands
Oh no.
of that party. So I'm just saying, you see a trad wives on Twitter, you can't get too excited yet. Trust but verify.
Grok,
So it's an example of the paradigm.
you're telling me for the first time. Are you saying I cannot trust Eva?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Is it over? Like fully? That's
Wait and see.
that's pretty
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
I never figured you for a blonde guy, but
it's a very sad day when another blonde falls to the Jezebel archetype. I kind of like seeing it, but it's what do you know? What do you know? Another one down. But yeah, to bring back Zoomers again, I mean, I don't think okay, there was a specific Twitter space with Carlsbad. I thought this was so insightful. This people should have shared this, and I just feel like it kind of went by the wayside because it just got taken away. But he was talking about how he was confused from his perspective because he's not in America, but he thought if Tucker is doing his show every night, and you have dissident right Twitter, which is a lot of American personalities pushing the Overton window constantly, grinding it out, isn't that enough? Isn't that, what do we have to complain about? In other words, Tucker is radicalizing Gen Z. It's already done. We've done it. We've already won. And so we don't have to even have a Trump presidency. I mean, he didn't say that, but he thought the reactionary thing was a given. And, there didn't need to be any more work. And someone pointed out the fact that what happens is Tucker goes on his TV show and he, says a lot of the dissident stuff, touches the things that would usually be reserved for VDARE, Amran. But there is this caveat, and people talk about it's a voting rights issue and this and that. And so there's people actively there to misdirect and channel that dissident energy and compromise it. And so I know that we talk about Buckley on the show and his influence. I feel like if you're a Zoomer and you're not even privy to that stuff, it's very easy to say, look, Trump's going to jail. Why not just go all in on DeSantis? I mean, isn't that the practical thing to do? And I just don't think that that's appropriate because it betrays like you said, it's not very heavy metal. And it's not, I mean, that's not dissident at all to let the actual populist candidate get taken away and then be satisfied with who they let us vote for. I just see that
yeah,
as
it's a form of submission. Although I don't think DeSantis is like a pure regime, like neocon kind of guy. I think I take Joseph Cotto's position, and Cotto, for all of his faults, is very well versed in Florida politics. That he's sort of just a bit opportunistic. He knows what's popular now, and he's probably smart enough to back Trump and then secure himself the vice presidential spot. Easy road into the presidency, a la George Bush. And on his personal history, he is sort of like a Tea Party outside, bit of a boomer. He has the boomer mentality, or at least he did early on. But he's not complete. I don't think he's a complete like bad actor.
Right. And something I was just remembering recently, I was talking to one of Bookcat's mutuals, and it sort of hit me. I kind of take for granted exactly the role that Charlie Kirk has been playing, because obviously to the average Zoomer, he's just, an internet personality. Who cares? But like, to bring it back to Buckley, I mean, this was a concerted effort to have a young looking guy, because that's what I've always said. How is Shapiro, Dennis Prager, how are all these old guys representing the young right-wing youth? And Charlie Kirk is kind of the epitome of somebody who is actively there for containment. And even though the rhetoric has gotten a bit better, I'm always just sort of looking over my shoulder, which I shouldn't have to do, because I want to have trust in the representative. And I know, to bring it back to Bookcat, he's even using the Athens and Jerusalem line, which is, I think, a Claremont thing. I think everybody who studies there gets that little phrase there. I just think it's a little funny to see some of the little tricks there. Some of the compromised people, they often call the paleocons traditionalist. That's their word, and it's kind of like a buzzword because that's where they're coming from. That's how they view them. It's less of a descriptor and more of like a code word of, this is what we call them in this network, and the paleocons are this separate thing that we're always kind of looking down upon. So I just, a Zoomer doesn't care about all this nitty gritty background checking, but you learn a lot about how politics works and how the right has been compromised in all these different facets. So that's why I don't see it as just swinging at everything that's moving. I think there's so much things that are compromised that I can't go all in on some of these.
Yeah, it's a healthy instinct. And I think that level of skepticism, had it been there in the Trump era, would have been, a good thing to have on the administrative level, a couple more Stephen Millers, that kind of thing.
Yes, people in chat, people know exactly. Yeah. Lincoln Fellow. Reboy, some of the familiar characters. It's the cast and crew, of the 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 deplorables, that's
Yeah,
the real.
goy posing bodybuilders.
Yeah, there's all kinds of people there. But here, let me verify real quick here. For those of you guys that are still here, I want to remind everybody on Thursday around 3 p.m. I haven't gotten feedback yet, but scheduling a show with Wendell, who's a mutual of Book Cat, and we're going to go through some of the history of the Republican youth, some of the college Republicans, but I mean it's a handful of organizations. YAF is infamously founded by Buckley, and of course they still march on today. So there's all kinds of lore there. There's all kinds of history.
I'm sure you'd be privy to a lot.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's some John Birch Society lore. There's some Goldwater lore. And so I was rewatching some of Firing Line, and it's just very 1960s, man. Very interesting decade of movers and shakers trying to see where the wind is blowing and who is allowed at the table and who is not allowed. So the
60s is probably the most interesting, or one of the most interesting periods in the history of the right, certainly the American right, in reaction to the new left and what the Nixonian moment meant.
Gio, no, I will not engage in drama. Never on this show. Not once. It doesn't happen one time, not once. So true.
Save it for the Twitter Spaces.
Save it.
What was happening in that? I tuned in for a couple seconds to hear people like Wendell chewing out Moldovan. What was up with that?
That's some. It's not my.
Should we talk? Should we talk about it after the show?
We'll talk about it. To tell you the honest truth, I'm not totally privy. I'm not too sure, like the zero HP Lovecraft circles. It's just not. I don't know the movers and shakers, the ball players, people with their nuts out. I don't know anything about that stuff. So, the Book Cat people seem to have an inkling. I don't know. I talked to a lot of people, but I'm definitely not in any of like the group chats or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. Gia, thank you, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's kind of the thing, man. Oh man, I hate to see my parents fight. I hate to see my my fellow celebrities fight. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of this whole thing. BAP has had such an influence on every, online right movement that invariably you're going to have these factions, splinter movements, humana. So, it's just a big hodgepodge. That's actually a perfect analogy. It really is CBGBs when the new wave bands started to get signed and then all the punk rock bands just fizzled. I mean, what's that all about? This is supposed to be the punk rock epicenter, okay? You got Blondie and Joan Jett hogging it out. But if you want to get on a record label in the 80s, you have to totally change your sound and capitulate, take the teal bucks, and then you get to be on Capitol Records. I just think that's total BS, okay? Because we like that early era. We like plastic letters. And, we like parallel lines. It's no big thing. But I just hate the fact that you got to capitulate because it shouldn't be about that. It should be actual freedom. It should be actual dissident music. And so when you got, keyboards entering the sound, whatever, man, we like it. But I hate that stuff. I hate that it's got to be There's all these unwritten rules that we're agreeing to, and that is analogous to whatever I was talking about earlier. So I just hate when that stuff tends to fizzle out like that. It's too bad. But Cat that is so true. Yeah. The JFK conspiracy is Wendell's grandfather, Wendell the third on the grassy knoll. You know, what is it? Jack Jack Rubenstein. Yeah, look into the background of some of the people involved there. You know, what are all these Twitter spaces happening outside the warehouse building? It's very strange. So that's kind of the thing there. Very strange behavior. Every single news by Paul. Hey, that's Geo. I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something there. That was also mentioned in the late night space. That I don't know if Grok heard that part. Yeah, it's the Puppet Master, Paul Town.
I didn't catch much.
Yeah, it's man, oh man. But yeah, it's this is, you know, we don't do political assassinations anymore. We do character assassinations. That's how we tear people down in the digital age. We just completely defame and discredit. We create pseudo fights. We create splinter movements that would otherwise be together.
Yeah, it is very much like, you know, early 19th century or 19th century Bolshevism. You know,
it is very you could say it's analogous for sure.
Yeah, A should go back to the Lenin profile photo.
He should go. Well, hey, that's funny because he's going off a little bit early tonight here. I don't know what's going on there.
Left-wing libertarianism and infantile disorder.
Yeah, I wonder what Pete Q has to say about it.
Yeah. I was just listening to his thing on the Populist Delusion on the way.
That's right, dude. I'm so grateful for stuff like that. I mean, you have the book, right?
Yeah. Digital copy.
That's right. Because I am curious, and I've got some catching up to do. While I got you here, I must inquire. I don't know if you've gotten to it. The Lana Del Rey question. Do we have an answer yet?
Still working on it. I don't know. I've been looking through the Stump timeline. I read Ben Braddock's article. Actually, I have the magazine here, but I don't know. I don't get it.
You don't get it? Okay. Well, I've been finding out this with a lot of Zoomers. Tell you the truth, I'm at a loss for words. Okay, the loss for words instrumental. I'm sort of just a little speechless because I don't exactly get it, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll see. Maybe that's
the charm of the 50s sort of aesthetic.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know if it's really, you know, it's like she opened the door. I don't know if she's gonna walk through it. That's the whole thing. Because I know that like current Lana Del Rey is we're in like the post NAFTA era of America. You know, she's kind of gaining a little bit of weight, and that's and the look is not what it was. Not saying it's worse. I'm just saying it's different. And
yeah, I didn't get that.
Sort of analogous to the American Empire, the GAE.
That's right. So, it's put on weight in the 90s.
That's true.
Which I did actually want to talk about the parallels between sort of PatCon, the FBI's fuckery in the 90s, looking for a mandate after the Cold War, targeting the right wing. There are a lot of parallels to that era. Well, with the rumors about January 6th, or even up in Michigan, there was that setup, and the guys actually got acquitted because people in the militia were federal informants.
Right.
There's one problem with the IRL organizing.
Yeah. That goes back to like what Thomas has said. When it's so blatant, does the umpire just go in our favor? So I don't know. Marshall Forward, thank you, man. I recognize you. I appreciate you stopping by, man. But yeah, okay, Rarebit is taking a stance. I just don't know yet. I don't know. The voice is a little polarizing, I must admit. I'm not very picky with stuff like that, I mean, even someone like Bonnie Tyler, not exactly a perfect 10, a perfect 9, a perfect 8, 7, 6, but that's okay. That's, I don't that shouldn't be the only appeal there, but I'm sort of in the dark on that. So that's the thing. We'll get back to that one for sure. I've been thanks to Prudentialist, who had a great article in IM 1776. I was recently in Las Vegas, and one of the things that Prude was writing about is how, as that generation that he was writing about ages, this is analogous to Fat Lana, as people just get older and fatter, and it's sort of in sync with like the American empire. And in the same way, maybe I'll dedicate something to this, but maybe like a separate video, but it really, 70s Vegas is really kind of the beginning of the end for America as I know it, because of course that is where Elvis died. That is where the last latter half of Elvis's life was dedicated to Vegas. He died elsewhere, but the fact that he sort of ended in a not ideal state, a little bit bloated, that is kind of the state that America has been since his death. Maybe the death of Elvis is really the death of America overall, because now you don't have rock stars playing in Mafia run Eddie Nash LA bars. They're not run by Mafia run Vegas. Instead, it's totally corporate, and you don't have any dissident musicians anymore. You don't have people that are on cocaine. Not that we endorse that, but it's it's a pattern.
I think it's
And
still
well,
it's still
in
good.
that sort of a context, because you don't really have.
AA's got the David Bowie retrospective, and
That's true. That's true. That is true. And maybe that's a bit of an outlier, because that's a little British. That's a little not really exclusive to the States. But he was here during that time, the latter half of Elvis's life. So maybe there's something there. Maybe there's some redemption. But I just find it very disappointing. I really do think organized crime is what's missing in a lot of American culture.
well,
And
that's what BAP says. You got to start your own mafia.
there it is. There it is. I mean, it's more than just the Scorsese meme. It's more than just, the guys with guns. I mean, you really, what it meant to be a union guy during, the JFK presidency, I just feel like it can't be the same. I don't know Greer's take on this. I just can't imagine the union guys from back then are the same today. I mean, I know you would have a lot more to say on this, but I just feel like the Jimmy Hoffa era is not happening anymore. Would that be accurate to defend maybe prior
Yeah, that's true.
union
Probably
guys?
across the West. Yeah, but
Okay.
though there are it's a complicated question, because if you go too far into the pro-union rhetoric, you end up with Marco Rubio and Puffin Stink.
I
and
know.
You don't want to. I know you're
just
fighting it,
I
but the
just
cultural
wanted to
you're right. The cultural attitude is it's compelling. Yeah.
I just want to defend the Mafia. It doesn't have to be a union thing. It doesn't have to be a I love workers of the world. I'm just talking. Okay, I'm Brian. So true. Yeah, we're talking about the. Yeah, it's called
Renaming the
dude
channel.
Syndicalist. Yeah, we're gonna go a little Spain mode over here, because I just feel like it's a bygone era. That's all. That's all
Loud
I'm
sound
saying.
Sorel.
Yeah, it's Wait, who's good night to who? Who's leaving? Who's leaving here? Who's going Betty by? Mother Superior? Thank you, man. Thank you. Elon Bus, thank you for sticking around Instagram, man. This guy puts up with a lot of dribble, but I appreciate you sticking around. If anyone here's on Instagram, that's where the Zoomers are, for better and worse. That's where the Zoomers
True.
are. Garak, I know you're not too active on it, but I'm telling you,
you have a lot of alts. That's what we're
I'm
doing.
obsessed with the stories. I love the format. I love some of the formats better than Twitter, if I got to be honest.
Well, neither are great.
It's just, I
You
can
like
really
the goth girl hookup.
No, hold on. Wait a second. That's not what the show's about. That's not what the segment's about. No. It's not. It's got nothing to. It's got a little bit, but it's not a lot to do with certain characters on there. I mean, you can really go all out with the music and the politics, mixing it on your stories. And with Twitter, I feel like it's one or the other. I mean, unless you have a Twitter space, that's kind of the no, Jake, no. There's none of that. It's not happening. It's not happening. I'm just saying there's a lot of activity happening on Twitter, and that means you're neglecting some other apps, you know. Now I admit I'm not on Gab. I'm not on any of the other ones. So I'm ignorant too. That's the thing.
Gab's kind of schizo.
I don't know if
Do you
anything's popping
remember?
off over there. Are the boomers
Yeah, race
really
war.
collectivizing over there, synthesizing? I couldn't tell you. What.
Getting like Paul Gozar to shill Gab is going to be the biggest meta-political victory for the dissident right.
We just need more. We just need. Ace, what do we got here? 8-time presidential candidate. He ran a political cult. He was proto-Trump. I'm not in on the lore. So thank you.
I'm not super familiar with the lore, but I do know, as far as debates within the left right now, some of the more, and I think these guys are kind of cringe, but the patriotic socialist types, they get accused of being LaRouche guys by some of, like, the Vosh crowd. So it's an interesting battle there.
Interesting. Oscar, as far as I know, I'm not an expert by any means. Maybe this is my new obsession after Elvis. We're going to transition to Jerry Lee Lewis. That's going to be the move. And there's some relevant stuff there for better and worse. But Oscar, you're asking about Jimmy Hoffa here. What really offended Hoffa was when Robert Kennedy started to go after his guys. And it's like, dude, we got you in the White House. You know, why do you got to weaponize the bureau against us? And, you know, that's JFK just kind of, you know, talking out of both sides of his mouth, so to speak. He's, you know, what is it? Robert was the attorney general. And so he started purging Hoffa's guys. And then Hoffa turned around and supported Nixon because Nixon, I think, got him out of jail when he was arrested because of the Kennedy admin. So that's the only I mean, he was pro. It's a confusing arc because he supported Kennedy, and then there was a Shakespearean betrayal, and then we come out of it with Nixon. So
that really does represent the Kennedy era. You know,
it really does.
You get it. You get in on Catholic votes, and you serve.
Well,
you
know. it is funny because there's also the Franks. There's the Italian. There's the Italian angle there because Frank Sinatra was also kind of implicated in that whole Hoffa Kennedy circle, and that's where that Godfather scene came from. But you know, I got strong beef with Frank Sinatra. I'm sorry, I can't totally go on board. I know I shared a certain album that came out at a key moment in time, but I can't go on board with I'm kind of declaring a fatwa on Italians in general. Because that's their boomer truth regime is the Sinatra worship.
Challenging the leader.
Yeah. It's idolatry. Frankly, it's idolatry. And
how's Fuentes going to take it?
It's going to be a hard hit. I'm telling you.
I don't know. He kind of listens to jungle music more so.
Well, he talks a lot about the I forget the broad's name. There's that other the famous Italian woman, but the Dean Martin Rat Pack stuff, it's just.
Did they pinch Bogart's bird?
What's that?
Didn't they steal one of Bogart's girlfriends, or my?
Oh, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I don't know. My film noir days.
That's kind of based, but I'm West Coast. You know, I am an urbanite. That's the thing. I'm an urbanite. Always had sympathy for the city. And so the South is foreign territory. I'm not against it. I'm very sympathetic to it, but it's not my place. And even they, I think, would argue
we're copperheads.
That's right. We're copperheads. And again, if I was there, I feel like some of the true believers would tell me I don't belong there because just by being there is sort of a bit of an intrusion. And I totally respect that. We have our thing, you have theirs. We do a little segregating, self-segregation. And so that's kind of that's totally consistent. But yeah, the Italian thing, I know we like Fallout. I know we were sort of brainwashed, but I just can't go fully on board with I know it's old music too, but again, anything pre-Elvis, I'm skeptical. That's not blues. So it's a tricky thing. Redact. I'm sorry, Gio. This is I'm laying down the law here, okay?
Yeah.
I can't. Okay, hold on. Pause. We're gonna have to interrupt the show here because we have to pull up that stupid album. Let me this is you want to talk about cope? This is the most ridiculous thing. And again, look, I give people the benefit of the doubt. I listen to ugly women sing. I put up with a lot. Okay, it's tough out here. And so people make fun of me. What do you listen to that old music? It's got nothing to do with you. You're LARPing. You want to be like the past. You'll never be it. You want to be in the South. You'll never live there. Well, let me just show you something, okay? All these people that want to swing from Sinatra. I found it, okay? It's over. Total victory here. Let me share screens here. But it's totally ridiculous. And what year is this? This is 59. So bear in mind, okay, we said we were not going to talk about Elvis, but listen here, okay? 59 rock and rolls, it's taking over. Okay, big band is totally BTFO'd. Nobody's defending it. It's trash. It's frankly it's indefensible, and there's just a lot of cope happening there. I mean, nobody listens to that stuff regularly. It's like the classical music thing. It's all just an identity thing. But look at this, man. Look at this. Can we get a bit of a larger thing? Nobody cares. I mean, could not be more on the nose. No one cares about big band in 59. It's over. The Glenn Millers, the Benny Goodmans, nobody is shilling this stuff. The generation is dying. And what is taking over? It is the Southern roots, the Southern American Caesar, and it's Elvis. It's rock and
Yeah,
roll.
the white Anglo-Saxon reaction, as
And
Greer would Greer would
that
put
is
it.
where rock is born. That is where real music is born. That's where metal is taking its chops from. You got
metal is English.
metal's English, but when you have
Swedish.
the British invasion, the Stones specifically taking chops from the blues guys, the blues is American, and so it's sort of the Hegelian nature of music. We take some cheat sheets from you, we take some cheat sheets from them, but we're not taking any advice from this guy. We're not taking any advice from big band. You cannot draw any line from big band to rock. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. It's not there. So that's why I say, it's not our thing. It's just not us. And anybody who's alive today who's not like Gen X, I mean, you got no memory of this stuff. Unless your parents were shoving this down your throat.
Band kids.
Band kids. Okay, yeah. How about that? How about that's the demographic? I mean, do you
Yeah,
really want to
yeah.
be in the
Band
company of
kids
these
and
people?
Ellis Islanders, the people who rule America.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is just so. I mean, please. Okay, people in the chat, you guys, if you don't get it, you just don't get it.
I got a chat roll.
Ridiculous. I'm telling you, man, this is the red pill. This is the new I'm 1776 article. I mean, you guys just
You should publish there. You should put some music.
I tried reaching out. Geo, I need your help, big guy, desperately. I got, I'm in with Mises. Okay, so I'm in with the the far right libertarians, but not so much the Teal Network. We got to take a stab at the Teal Network. Who knows?
Yeah, all right, art host.
That's yeah. Well, hey, it kind of goes back to Zero HP Lovecraft. That's maybe Thomas is wrong. Maybe time is a flat circle. It just revolves around different women groups. That's it's Andy Warhol. It's CBGBs. The more things change, the more they stay the same. See what? Geo, thank you. Now Geo is the bridge builder. Geo is
the networker. Yeah.
Geo is sort of a. I don't know if Geo remembers this line. This is a bit of old lore. It's not even that funny, but it's just funny to me. Geo is not a jack of all trades. He's more of a king of all trades. And I know he does a lot of digging and background checking, so maybe he remembers what that's from. But I could not believe when that was said on a certain live stream. But it is actually it is accurate when it comes to Geo. because he is the networker. He is the Henry Kissinger of the dissident right. He is minus some things. Okay, what else do we get? Yeah, I'm thinking we're back. I'm thinking we're definitely back. You need to weaponize the art host. See, whoa, wait a second. See, I don't know. See, when I begrudgingly defend the goth girls, you guys understand there's a lot of hesitation there. But it is not for any vulgar purposes. That's why I totally reject the current ones. Okay, that's my main critique. So it wouldn't make any sense for it to be a simping thing. Why would I simp for people that are getting sluttier if that's what I liked? That doesn't add up, okay? So when I defend Avril Lavigne, when I defend Cyndi Lauper's punk rock era, fell asleep to some of that stuff, but that is really the hill that we're dying on. So not so much this I don't even know what this art scene is. I'm just not in tune with it. But that's the thing. That's the yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Was Avril Goth? Okay, my friend. I'm sorry, Grog. This is the show, as you can tell.
Take as long as you need.
Yeah. Listen, my friend was telling me she wasn't, and it's like, look, man, I grew up with Under My Skin. And I hate this bickering from the peanut gallery. It's just not appropriate. I think that eyeliner, that boxy eyeliner, I think that qualifies most of it. It's also a skater look. It's a punk look. It's a hot. I mean, Gio, you understand a lot of this stuff is confusing to the outside world, also known as reality. But I mean, it's like when people, my friend of mine was asking, he might be in chat here. He was asking, is goth really a metal thing or is it a separate thing? It's complicated. Okay. It kind of came out of the new wave scene. It kind of came out of the post-punk, and the industrial bands definitely latched on. So it's a mixed bag. There's overlap, but they're not exactly mutually exclusive. So it's tough. It's tough out there for us former goths. We'll get into that with I almost said synagogue, with Semiagog. He is trying to put together an all-star panel with all generations. We're going to unite the we're going to unite the goths, not the other one, the other phrase. We're going to unite the dissident. It's tough. We'll figure it out. We're going to unite a bunch of generations, and we're going to unite people that are not the left, something like that. And that's when millennials and Zoomers and even some Gen X are going to have we're going to have a Carl Weathers moment. We're going to totally come together and make it out of this thing. So emo is a gay. Okay, can we hold back some of the slander in chat? Elon, you're my guy. You're supposed to go to bat for me. Please don't let me down on this important issue. I don't want people to industrial, i.e. wearing black tees. Yeah, that's true. That's the fashion. That is the fashy fashion, as they say. Yeah. No, you guys see, some of you guys were there, I can tell. Paul W. Hall? Yo, I reckon you're from the group chat. What's going on, big guy? Good to see you here. Paul W. Hall? Yeah. That's right. Thank you, man. Thank you. Had to do a double take there. Okay, yeah, Elon. It's complicated. I also wanted to mention before I forgot. I want to give a shout out to Chris. Chris in Floral Park. My favorite Freddie Got Fingered respecter over there. I see you, man. Thank you for showing up here. The guy's making a great potluck. I think it's chicken pot pie. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cernovich blocked me. Sorry, you're interrupting the show a little bit here, but it's stew. That's what it is. I want to give a shout out because the guy is brilliant. Okay. The guy has a a cultural memory, which AA would say I lack. So I'm playing catch up here, but we're gonna make it. All right, we're making it here, Brandon. A lot of the okay. This is my citation here. Thank you, Brandon. Most of the themes, yeah, that's the thing. You just got to be careful. Got to be careful. It's sort of like the Spencer store. We're talking about the store called Spencer's. That is the Spencer we're referring to here. You just got to be careful. It's a mixed bag here. You know, there's the back of Spencer's, and then there's everything else. So you gotta try to avoid the bad, and there's some good there too. So I don't know. It's it's sort of the bridge. It's the gateway. It's the Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin is kind of like the Spencer's. I'm sure he would love that. He would love to be compared to the Spencer's clothing line, the brand, because it's just sort of a gateway. And maybe you end down. Hey, it's kind of a perfect analogy. Maybe you go down you get a little too close to the leather clothes. You get a little too close to the whips, and it might consume you, so to speak. So it's sort of a complicated thing there. It's the last bastion. Yeah, exactly. It's part of right-wing identity. So I'm sure we all agree there. The other thing I wanted to say, Garak, is Razor Fist vindicated on the abolish the FBI video from like 2 years ago? Do I gotta eat my words?
I share that again. I just think there's a lot of Razor Fist fatigue in the circles I swim in with other personas, but his good takes are indicative of the fact that at their base, a lot of libertarians do have better instincts than some of the Washington D.C. wonks. Just like a gut feeling from that perspective gives you better takes 90% of the time than all the theory selling and the Catholic common good integralism kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
so yeah, he is vindicated. He is vindicated. God fucking speed.
There you go.
Yeah,
been doing a lot. He's been doing great with the Kerry Lake shilling, the anti, what is it? Who's that blonde broad? I can't even remember the name. It's got a Y in the name. The Arizona Rhino, Sydney.
McCain?
No, the woman. Sydney Kimia. Well, I'm just saying words, doing some acapella. But anyways, just some Rhino, and he sees through her. But yeah, the Razor stuff is I need your help with that, because I am also blocked by Razor Fist as well. That's that one is a bit more.
So many.
Dude, every time I would go on his timeline, cinema, like is that how you say it?
Yeah, cinema. Yeah. Oh, the Senate. Yeah. No, he's pretty. He's got the best take on that.
She got chased into a bathroom by some.
This is all. It's all. Look behind the curtain, Ace. It's all theater. Don't fall for her. You can't fall for her.
Don't look behind the curtain. Worst mistake I ever made. So true. No, it's
Jesus Christ, Gio.
What was I gonna? I wouldn't kick. Okay, Gio, we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to have some restraint in the chat, if we could, please. Okay, see, can we talk about this for a quick second? This is also anonymous with like Lauren Boebert. Okay, the glasses. I don't like that look. It's not sexy. It's not. So I don't know if that's like
I agree.
The millennial thing. Okay, we're having like a real serious moment here. We're breaking the goth girl rhetoric just to make room for this.
The geek girl.
The geek girl. Okay, I'm telling you, I'm serious mode, serious Chungus mode. That is literally like an invention of pornography. Okay, that is exactly where that came from.
Yeah, I can see it.
And so the sexy librarian. Okay, it's over. If you're unironically going towards that stuff, I'm telling you, man, it's a bad path. And I got to counter signal it. It's no good. So, okay, yeah, Boebert, she made that joke about Muslims, which was cack. But listen, man, I don't like that look. And Marjorie is no prize in that department. but we got to stick up for the Southern mids, okay? We're sticking up for the Southern 5
Bless
out
her
of 10.
heart. Yeah.
We must do it. And to tell you the truth, that's what we're getting anyway. That's what we're going to get. That's all that's going to be left. If you're hedging your bets on a good one. So I got to counter signal the geek look. I thank you. It's the geeky girl, not a real look. So okay. Okay, the chat is ruined. The chat is destroyed. Where's the moderators? I'm like Axl Rose. Interpreter.
Thomas leaves and it just becomes
Thomas leaves, and all we got is Frank Sinatra shilling and straight up porn shilling in chat. That's what this is. This is just a big roundabout way of defending these dogs, okay? These disgusting women. And that's
Inshallah.
not, I don't even do that with the goth girls. Garak, please. I don't even do that with the goth girls. It doesn't happen. So I expect everybody else. If I can do it, I expect everybody else to reel it in. Please. It's the best. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Elon. That was someone that might have been like Nightmare or a Future Citizen. Someone was talking about the mid over attractive, but I can't remember who put that together. But that's the thing. Yeah. Virginia, you're telling me. There's a mountain. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't remember that. I actually don't remember that.
We could get a renaissance if she wins that race.
Oh no, we can't.
Just saying.
We have to primary her. We have to for the culture war. For the culture war. Hey, look, I know this is good gatekeeping. This is like
how about that epic rap battle?
Yes, that's right. The what is it? Epic. Is that what that was literally called? Epic rap battles of history?
Yeah, that was my shit.
That was crowded. I wanted to get oh man, I think Jay Burden's asleep. I wanted to get into some of the Rooster Teeth lore. We can do a little bit here. We can do a little bit because my goodness, I missed it.
Not my wheelhouse.
Not your wheelhouse. Okay. People in chat, when did you guys jump ship for Rooster Teeth? Because this morning was a big realization. Because again, after 2016, my priorities changed, most of them. I got into political content, Paul Watson, The Gateway, and then, obviously the music stuff, Loud Sun Epicenter, the blog. And so I wasn't watching Achievement Hunter and what else? Machinima. I just stopped. It wasn't for political reasons. It wasn't because of Gamergate. I didn't even know what that was at the time. But I went back and I looked at what it's sort of like in Fallout 3. Brandon, please back me up here. This is my guy, my African American over there, my Hispanic American over there. And another thing, but it's like in Fallout 3 when you go back to 101, and it's just not the same. It's not the same. And what is it? Athena, Amelia? I forget. But your childhood has been completely rearranged by bad faith actors. And that's what happened to Rooster Teeth. I missed it, though. I didn't realize how bad it was. I didn't know about Mika. I didn't know about the Reading Rainbow guy. Apparently, that's his daughter or something. I did not know the lore. I was completely out of the loop. And so, Amada, I'm sorry. It's bad Zoomer moment. But when we talk about Gamergate completely ruining your childhood, I don't think it can be more applicable than Rooster Teeth, because I watched with my own eyes. I had to pause the video from cringing. I watched with my own eyes Jeff Ramsey apologize for being white, apologize for all the trolls that were ratioing the videos. I didn't know that happened to Rooster Teeth. I thought they just because Funhouse, you remember Funhouse? They sent in a bunch of those guys, and it was like, okay, you're like merging these two YouTube worlds together. And I sort of watch these things separately. It's I like it when it's just like a room full of guys, but they turned it into a company. I learned some of the background of Bernie Burns, and it's exactly what you'd expect. So this sounds like rambling, I know, but I want to discuss this with Jay Burden because it is such a Shakespearean tragedy. It's the fall of Rome for YouTube. And this is old lore. This is like 2-year-old lore. But in the wake of the George Floyd riots, they were still making videos, and they kept going. And I thought it is so cartoonish. I thought that was Kotaku. I thought that was Game Informer, and some of the others. What's the Polygon? I didn't know it was so bad that it got to some of the others that I watched, like College Humor is one that's so easy to infiltrate, that it is so, I mean, it goes hand in hand. But my childhood, I didn't expect it. But yeah, anyways, just another, had to get that out, because today I just went through the lore, and it was shocking. But anyways, I wanted to check chat here because everybody else probably went through the same arc, but, and I was checking out the comments, because I didn't even know what people thought. Did people say, "Oh, go woke, go broke"? Because the videos were getting ratioed, and it's like, I don't like, all these black gamers. Black girls don't play video games, so on and so forth. A lot of the usual talking points. But you look at the videos where they're crying in the videos, and they're apologizing for having toxic fans, and this company is no place for hate and all that stuff. People in the comments were supportive. It's like, I don't understand what happened. It's like they got their comeuppance with in the post Gamergate era, but then in 2020, when George Floyd happened, they got a bunch of support, and it's like, you know what? I left Rooster Teeth, and I actually like you guys. You guys didn't deserve all the hate, and actually there's a redemption arc for the company. And I'm like, what in the world? I thought that's the video to ratio. That is the worst example of taking an L. So that, again, it's just, I could not believe what I was seeing, because those are my guys. And it's one of those things. It's like what Thomas says about, don't watch concert, don't go to the Pantera show. Don't watch Axl Rose on stage right now. It's just not worth it. You're just not gonna be happy with it. And I should have taken that advice, because I fell short. But anyway, sorry. I know that's only important to like me, but it's it goes a long ways, because that's, I mean, to tell you the truth, to make sense of like Zoomer culture, it's the people who grew up with machinimas. It's the people who grew up with Rooster Teeth and that weird, like that's what I feel like. That's not so much the Adult Swim world, although there's a little bit of overlap, but it's that indie company vibe. I can't really explain it. There's a Russian guy who was going point for point. He can articulate it much better, but that's, again, it's just part of the Zoomer identity being corrupted, and not being corrupted by Zoomers, mind you, because those guys aren't the same age as us. We just watch them. Those guys are like millennials and older, so we're a little bit vindicated. We're a little bit not to blame on that front. Chris Adler, did Pantera pick a drummer? It's Chris Benante from Anthrax. That's who the drummer is. And I just saw him in Fresno. He came to the Fresno Fair, which is a little embarrassing, but that's just like our local fair. I mean, you shouldn't bring like a member of the Big Four to a county fair. But it was a good show, and Benante is one of the best. Okay, people shill Lombardo, and Gio, I know you're a big fan of Fear Factory. We got to get into that, man. We got to get into our video, because there's a lot to explore there. But Fear Factory and Cynic, I was going through one of the 90s albums. Might have been the first one, and I was digging it. So, some of that more extreme. Charlie Benante, excuse me. It's been a while since I've seen NFV there, but anyway. Yeah. Well, anyways, let me catch up with chat here. Grok, I'm sure this is a bit it's waning a little bit, I'm sure, but
That's a nice way to wind down.
Yeah, and I can't remember whose space I was in, but oh my goodness, Kira. All right, we're back, and what I was going to say is, MDE really is like the death of pop culture. It's the end of our culture. That's sort of like the real great replacement is for comedy, for decentralization of culture. That's where like our guys got in the door and then got it taken away. So Ace is always in spaces with weird. Hey, listen, man. Listen, I talk, what can I say? I talk to people and it gets weird. Are the people weird? Is the topic weird? I don't know. Both, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. Twitter's a weird place. I mean, a lot of the accounts got purged. And but hey, Charlemagne, go out and follow Charlemagne. He's back. Thomas isn't back. We're back, but Charlemagne is back. So go out. He's gonna be back, and he'll probably.
What's the at?
I'll send it to you. It's I don't know. Is it better to put that in chat?
Maybe later.
Yeah, I don't want him to get banned right away because he's one of my favorite accounts. I've seen whoa! No, I don't think that. Okay. First of all, this is such a bad look. I'm gonna say it. I'm going to say it, but I'm pretty sure the guy is just joking. It's just like he's just LARPing as that. He's not. I mean, as far as I know, he's not actually that. So no. I'm not. I talk to wholesome people. Okay, yeah. Let me put it in chat here. Where's our guy? Is he already banned? No, we're good. Let's get the man. Here. Oh no, there's no Brandon, it's not what it looks like. You know what? Maybe you should stay away from Twitter because you won't see any of the evidence. But it's not what it looks like, okay? I can't do a background check on every, but it's not like, but I don't know. But anyway, let's just move on because it's such a boring topic. So we'll this must be one of those. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But hey, everybody, shill. The man himself, the video essay master himself, Charlemagne. Please go out. He's got no tweets, but that won't be for long. But he's got the follows from all your favorite people. So please go out and pay the guy some respect. Press F. And the old video game trailers, yeah. The GTA 4 trailer where it looks like a movie. It looks like a Russian because it's based off that. What is it? What's that Russian movie? Boy. Oh man, what's the
Brat?
Scott Greer
Brat
shield
something?
Brat. Yeah. And it looked just like that movie. So Loud Son Epicenter just by the shadow.
Side.
Geo is what is it? Geo, the content corner is he's backing me into a corner. The content Geo is he's entering the epicenter and he's backing it into his corner. So true. Yeah, listen, don't take everything Gio says with a grain of salt
That's
because
good Russian cinema.
I'm it is some of that Eastern cinema.
Tartakovsky or
There you go.
what was the one?
Band of
Russian arc.
Outsiders. Some French stuff, but
Aaron is always in weird spaces talking to weird people.
it's listen, man. I'm
not
listen.
really into spaces. I don't really.
Oh man,
I didn't like the UI.
I'm hooked. I'm hooked. It's like
It's
It's like heroin. I get up, I space. I get up. My face when I'm spacing on you nibbas.
Space Jack.
You just got to live reaction. Man, hold on. I don't want to.
If I could do a Blep Sama voice, I would do the I'm spacing right now. And then have a guy with a phone and like the nightmare vision Avi on the
Well, here, can I pull up? Let me just pull it up because it's so funny. Yeah, Kira, I am in spaces all day. You should join one of those sometime. But it's like what Wendell said. It's very Hegelian. It's very Hegelian because as people get banned, we can't really rely on a lot of the older accounts. But if you can go into space and just pop off for a bit, it's that's where we can really get some of the content there. And so that's where Carlsbad was hashing it out. That's where a lot of the of course, the night owls, a lot of that stuff I think is very productive. And I'm not privy to like all the characters and who's coming from what space, but a lot of that stuff, some of those, like this morning, I can't share the details. I was in a space and we're I don't know, can I no one's gonna watch till the very end of this thing. So I don't know, Grok, some shenanigans happen, some Jerry Springer shenanigans happen on a certain space this morning. Should I what do you think should I do? What do you think would be the optical way to do this? Should I share it?
It's up to you.
All right. Well, let's just say we want to host like a mock debate. Me and a certain someone. We want to host a mock debate space where we have people pretending to be Wignats on one side of the corner, and the other corner is people in the dissident right who are trying to go after them. I can't I can't even do this because I can't pretend to be a man, I can't do it. But basically, like, oh, you still believe in a political solution? What are you, like, a cuck or something? We want to host like a fake and try to go as long as we can because there's a lot of material. There's a lot of remnants of the alt-right that we can use as citations. I mean, you guys know the usual back and forth. This is the real Hegelian dialogue, is the pretending to be Wignats debating other people in the distant right. We did a little bit of that this morning, and it was the funniest thing. I know it's very autistic, but it's I remember AA had the Mad Owl or Spencer game show, and this is kind of in that same headspace. It's very, we just want to see, because that's where you try to. I was talking about this with Prude. You can really get to the end of these arguments, and you don't have to put up with certain takes on the timeline because we've heard them all. Like I said, we've seen the arcs, we've seen the lore, and so it would be nice to. Oh man, what's that class that people take in high school? It's not mock debates. It's like we're at a university. You pretend to be international relations. You pretend to like negotiate with
fucking.
You pretend to
UN?
be a foreign. What is it?
Model UN.
Model UN. That's it. Dude, that was bothering me all week because I couldn't remember what that was called. But Model UN.
Yeah.
Model UN.
Model UN for the dissident right.
Model UN, but with Wignats. Now we're gonna have to consult Scott, or we're gonna have to consult Josh Neal because he's sort of like the bridge between those two worlds. And so I don't know. I think Gio would be like the ultimate expert on this, doing all the deep dives. So
the moderator.
Yeah, a moderator, and so we'll try to create a mock trial. It could be a trial too. Maybe set up a scenario where like a Wignat goes too far, and then he has to plead for his life. He has to have a Kevin Costner JFK moment, a Few Good Men moment, Tom Cruise style, and I mean that's basically what happened with the Seville trial. So it's actually not too far away from reality. And maybe the hard work's already been done for us. But anyways, this is what your average Zoomer is concocting in his head when he's trying to come up with content. So just want to throw that out there. This is why you got to support the spaces. This is why you got to support the dialogue happening in there. It's not all incoherent as I pitch the Wignat mock trial, but there's a lot of substance to what we're trying to do with these spaces. So who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Yellowstone. Yeah. Tell me about it. All right, here. Man, I have never neglected the chat as much as I have tonight. So I wanna go through here. Oh, thank you, Vex. Thank you. Yeah, here. Garak needs the follow. Let me again. Let's go through the rigmarole. Let me get the what do we got here? What do we got? I meant Chris live tweeting the show. Thank you. Garak is the man. It's called we die for Garak. It's called
We do a little shilling.
we do. And Paul Gottfried expert, Paul Gottfried scholar. The son that Paul Gottfried never had, Barack Obama.
Well, considering the competition.
No, wait a second. Guys, I'm serious. People think it's all just a big 90s trash TV TMZ thing over here. No, I'm serious. Garak reels me in. Garak, you could say Garak gets a rise out of me, intellectually speaking. And so we oh, what in the heck? All right, let me go one more time around. One more time. Sounds cool. Oh my goodness. All right, Model UN. Thank you, Brandon. I should know that because he would tell us those stories, and I never did stuff like that in high school. I was listening to Van Halen albums through Logitech.
Lucky.
That is the true arc. Going off on Wyatt. Who's Wyatt? I don't even know. Anyways, more stuff that would poison my brain. I know the favorites. The Blepe. Dude, the Blepe suspension. That's too bad. I was frantically screenshotting everything. Thanks to Paul. I've literally never. Yeah, let's okay, let me go up here. You must submit to geocells. Wait, who are we? Why am I awake? Yeah, so true. We're wearing glasses to pay tribute to Razor Fist. He's got a better setup than me. When he upgraded to the point where it was like HD 4K resolution, that was like all right, man. All right. I'll walk back some of my Ayn Rand antagonism there. Well, in regards to Rooster Teeth. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I didn't play Halo growing up, so the red versus blue thing just wasn't my thing.
Me neither, yeah.
I'll respect it. I remember I was at my friend's house and I said, I've never watched like a full episode. I was like, that is not funny. I don't caboose. It's not funny. And then it's one of those things where I say that, I just say it, and then he goes, "Oh, well, actually, I like grew up with that." And I was like, "Oh, well, I should have kept that to myself because I don't want to just like dump on something." But I thought I was in like good company. I could just let that out. But as you know, Dimebag did not scoop out all the mids he retained. No, no, no. Wait a second. So true. So true. Meets offer secret college. Maybe Flippy Hambron. Whoa, you were playing Halo too. Did they have like a fan club? I know they had those the RTX. They would have like Comic-Con expos just for them. And then COVID ended that. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious what the I mean, there's some something there. But what do we got? Yeah, middle school humor. That's the thing. The Max Keeble. If you've ever seen Max Keeble, that's that pretty much sums up the Zoomer arc. Last one, Rooster Teeth Memory, was the first episode of Minecraft. Dude, I was there, okay? Millennials like to, they remember 9/11. I remember the first Let's Play premiere on Rooster Teeth of Minecraft, okay? I remember the Tower of Pimps. I remember when was it Gavin? Gavin took the tower. No, he put the obsidian block in the wrong space, and so he didn't win the 3 blocks of gold. So he didn't win that tournament. He lost. And that's his own fault. That's sort of the short-sightedness. That's the Tom Sawyer arc kind of ruining the would-be potential of Gavin. So yeah, it's that was classic stuff. I can't counter signal. Halo 3 era. Well, that's so you jumped ship before Reach? Or I don't know. I don't have all that stuff memorized, so filming on Halo 3. Yeah. Dude, they made a video game on Steam and then they took it down because nobody was playing it. And they were doing like anime. They were doing like animation like TV series. And to me that was too much. They were trying to like emulate Netflix. They upped the subscription fee, and so what was a big like learning experience out of that was people are always going to cluster towards the free content. They're not going to pay for something that they can, just get otherwhere for free. And so I that was kind of weird that Rooster Teeth was trying to compete with Netflix, because obviously there's a big gap there. But yeah, I'm catching up with the rest of you guys. Okay, we got to the pretty hectic part of the chat. No, okay, so this is wrong. This is just wrong. This is why I got to check the chat, because you guys are just going to lie. So some of that's true. But lowriders, I don't know, man. Grok, what are your thoughts?
No comment.
All right. Is that like the bad side of my heritage to like lowriders?
Do you actually?
Well, I don't know. I'm ambivalent. I would customize them in San Andreas, but I don't know if I would.
That's kind of different.
That's different. Okay. I did not see Moldbug on Tim Dillon. Oh, did he go on there? Is that where that screenshot is of him wearing glasses? This is also a tribute to that. You know what? That's the real tribute. Well, we got to get our aviators for Curtis.
Oh no.
Man, things are crazy. What a show, man. Thanks. Cheers. All right. We're winding down. I appreciate everybody in chat here. I was supposed to join a Twitter space, but I'll have to check the timeline to see if that's still on. Latina Zoomer Goths, interesting. No comment. I don't know if I can endorse. Gonna have to again, because what does that term even mean? We're gonna have to be careful there. But thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Elon Bust, all the Vexler. I think you're from Thomas's Telegram. I appreciate it. But yeah, while we wind, losing my voice over here. While we wind down, one final time, Garak, I want you to shill your reconstruction article, your character wash, all your revisionist history. I want people to check out your stuff because I've been amped up for it.
Characterwash.substack.com. That's where I'm translating a book on denazification, some classic revisionist history. I actually did an interview on the subject on another Substack. I'll see if I can find it. By some of the Carlsbad circle on the Twitter, Das Denkenmut. So I'll link that in. For more long form, for some of the Paul Gottfried expertise, we've got unreconstructed.substack.com. I did a little write-up on the Confederate flag recently, and with a deluge of new subscribers after shilling it one time, I might have to put up a sort of mission statement post later today.
Oh.
And other than that, maybe just at Obama Garrick on Twitter. Without the C. Some people got confused. But
okay.
Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm always used to the K, so we're all good there. This person, I'm not. I'll check it out. Maybe you guys can wake me up to that in the Discord. Let me put the Discord in chat here, just so we can be a little more well-rounded. Is that Twitter space happening already? I mean, these guys are kind of a unintentional pun. Oh, okay. Black girl sexy. Okay, so I'm missing out on some content. That's all right. That's more things that are gonna get me in trouble with Geo. more bad diplomacy. Maybe it's bad diplomacy. But here we go. Let me check out. Here we go. We got some private here. Anything in here? Yeah, there we go. Let's get the shilling in here, and then we're gonna get the Discord. Also, remember a reminder in chat that here we go. As a reminder, we'll be back with Wendell on Thursday. I'll share the link eventually, and be talking about some of the history of American conservatism, specifically in the youth circles.
That's an unexplored area.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I'm gonna listen to that.
I was expecting a little bit more, but it's still interesting.
Are you gonna go into your own experiences, or
maybe we'll get a little personal. Maybe we'll do a little expose. No, we'll be charitable. No, Mr. Well, no, we're gonna be talking to some cool people, just cool people. Your eyes are closing, Brian. Well, hey, man, have a good night, man. I appreciate it, Brian. Oscar Toe, our goth. Okay, look at Seamus. It's a little too late for that on the show here. Get a green leather jacket. That's. I don't know. I'm thinking about like a red one. I like the. It's a little girly. What do you think, Garak? Is that too much?
Green is interesting. I used to. I kind of go blue now, but not leather, but
have to be like dark.
Sort of like I'm thinking $1 billion babies kind of.
Okay. All right. Maybe that's it.
That might work. But
I also like maybe this is the casino Ace Rothstein, but maybe like the maybe like a white jacket is. I mean, I know that's a little Miami Vice, but I mean just like a.
No, that's kind of depends on the scene. I don't know if that would work in actually, yeah, California's good.
Yeah, it's
no, this is good advice. Michael Jackson jacket.
Michael Jackson. Yeah, that's true. Is Grok gonna have a book out on the way?
Not for a long time. I'm translating a book on the Substack, but as for original content, you know,
No, of course.
maybe maybe in a few years. I joked that I would write The Ordeal of Civility, but for Asians.
I was also, while I'm going through the chat here, I was also it's kind of funny how Razor does his he's publishing his noir books, and that's kind of like what BAP and Zero HP Lovecraft, that's like
A
their
bit like
thing.
Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas and
Steel Storm, yeah.
Terror House. And so it's kind of interesting how it kind of speaks to the ignorance or the lack of interest with Razorfist. Like I don't think he's even like tuned into that side. He's more like normie GOP Twitter.
It's kind of an well, his book is not really political at all.
Right. Like I don't know. I would expect him to want to like, I don't know. It seems like there's enough overlap, but I mean, maybe there isn't. He's not really red pilled, as we know. So it's so maybe he is like where he belongs. So it's kind of a strange thing there. I mean, he's clustering towards like the normie side. The stuff he retweets is very telling. You kind of get a look into his psyche. And
but at the same time, I think you do need people like that around just so you can get a sense of where certain groups are.
That's true.
Because as people have said, his taste in candidates is pretty good. Even if his takes and his thought process is a little bit boomerish.
Put that up as the marquee check comment. What, Oscar? What? Let me find it. Uh-oh. Anthrax. Yeah, there's some truth to that. Little overrated. But yeah, I know that's not popular. That's one of their biggest songs. Probably their biggest song. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. And there's better stuff on that album. So even the environmental song, what is it? One World. Even that's better, and it's totally paused. So go figure. All right. I think you're yeah. Oscar. Thank you. It's fresh. Oh man, I'm gonna have to rewind this to remember some of these reactions. You got to address the Fallout Free through some New Vegas question. See, I'm the wrong guy to ask because I'm biased. I replayed Fallout 3 a bunch, and that was the one I had an intimate relationship with. New Vegas, I was a passive observer, and I recognize like New Vegas is better in probably like every way, but I don't know. That's not my game, so I don't know. The New Vegas is definitely more in tune politically, but I don't know. But what about you, Garak? Do you have a stance on this dichotomy?
Yeah, I used to be kind of a elite I used to sort of watch a lot of that kind of New Vegas elitist content, and like the Black Isle Obsidian Shills. I'm less of a partisan than I used to be, but I probably prefer New Vegas.
Okay, yeah,
I played it a lot more.
Yeah, I should have, because it definitely would have. I don't know, maybe it would have red pilled me. Who knows? But I know that it's definitely relevant to a lot of what we're used to. Well, all right.
You did a good stream with Prude about it.
With Prude, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's going back a ways.
That's a deep cut.
And I was pretty absent for the latter half because the lack of DLCs was I wasn't even really like that for Fallout 3 because I had the Brotherhood of Steel DLC, but not I think I had the Alien one. I don't really remember though. So yeah, but yeah, it was they're obviously much more well read. So that's that. All right. Let me verify something here. Okay. All right. All right. I'll if there's no more Mothership Zeta, there you go. Grok has really good Twitter. Yeah. Oscar, are you on Twitter? See, I can't. I don't recognize everybody on here if they are on Twitter. I know there's some people who don't even like it. All right. Well, hey. Very, very thankful to be joined by prestigious guests. Garak, been meaning to get you back here on the show, and I think you came back for a good one. And glad to have you back here for some breaking news too, because
Yeah, good to get Thomas's take.
Yeah, that's true. You I kind of get lost in the Telegram chats, so it was nice of you to post his take out there because that's where I first saw it, and it was very insightful. So. Well, we will wrap up, and one last time, thank you, Garak, for stopping by and sticking around for the after show. This is
Yep, always a pleasure.
I know for you the time is a lot more flexible, and me, I'm always up at these hours anyway, listening to Elvis or whatever, and so it worked out, and I was glad we could get Thomas back because it's been a few days. It's been a few days since our last video on here. But one last reminder, on Thursday, that's coming up here. It's in a few hours for some of you East Coast guys. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to everybody here who's on the East Coast. I can't imagine that's where this audience is right now. I mean, that's that would take a lot of I don't know, willpower to stick around this long. Look, we try to keep the content fresh and not just ramble on. So hopefully these are hopefully it's a nice first half and latter half. I'm trying to be thinking about replay gang, and I don't know. I know Mutant is probably gonna have a few words here. Mutant, if you make it this far, God bless you. I appreciate all the help you're doing for us, and yeah, I can't imagine what his takes will be. He's definitely one of our essential cast members for the Epicenter. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back very soon. Thursday. Garak, I'll send you the details. And for everybody else, I'll send out the link probably on Twitter. That's why you got to stay on Twitter. We're all coming back just like Charlemagne. We're back. We're so freaking back. And that's where we'll be. So, all right. So that's right. We're back here. And by the way,
Arizona supremacy. That's right.
We're saving these for a better time. We're saving these for a better time. Not sure when we'll get to it, but we'll get to it, okay? I mean, this is Loud Sound Epicenter after all, so we'll get to it. And I think you guys are anxiously waiting for it. So we'll be back. And I can't wait to return. So thank you all, one and all, once again. Appreciate you guys. And have a great rest of your night. Thank you all. Thank you again.